Hey guys, and welcome back to Castle Crush, and today we are going to be playing with a Necromancer Dragon deck here, and the Necromancer is really not a card you would necessarily think you would use with a dragon because it brings cards back at a low amount of HP, and it doesn't seem like the best use with a dragon because the dragon, you know, it's going to spawn with very low HP, and really it's not as useful as, say, skeletons because the skeletons have much lower HP to start with, in theory. But what ends up happening is that it's actually a very effective way to counter other Necromancer stacks if you're going up against one. Because a lot of the time, Necromancers are going to be running skeletons. So if you are reviving skeletons, but also a dragon, what is going to happen is that you are going to push your opponent's Necromancer back, because if they only have if they only have skeletons and other weak troops in their Necromancer stack, you are going to be able to push that back with the dragon. And a dragon Necromancer stack will win against a Dragon Spectre stack. So there is that to really keep in mind. You can see even here how the dragons are just really pushing through that top lane despite there being a Necromancer there. And then the bottom lane wasn't doing so hot, but I did manage to get a dragon down there too. And unfortunately I was having some trouble, but I was able to bring it back just enough to kind of keep them at bay. Unfortunately, I really need the dragon right here, but I'm not getting it. I am at third castle though, so it's close, but not quite. Still a good example though, because you can see they had a Necromancer stack in the top lane, and those two dragons just forced their way right through it because it was basically just skeletons and other spammy stuff. And the dragon has an AoE attack, so it can actually push through those very effectively. And if you're reviving it with a Necromancer, even if it only gets a few hits in each time, those are going to add up in terms of pushing back, say, just a regular skeleton Necromancer Spectre type of stack. So the dragon can actually have some good synergy, strangely, with the Necromancer, despite what you might otherwise think. It can be a worthwhile addition, or you can just play it on its own. So it's fairly versatile against a number of different situations, which is to be expected since the dragon is one of the best cards in the entire game. Even after all this time, I still would say it probably is. I'm going to be hopefully making another video soon, ranking a lot of the legendary cards and just cards in general, again in Castle Crush, since I know that's been a requested video. I mean, it's pretty similar to the last go around probably, but you know, I can always go through some new reasoning, and especially for people who didn't see the previous video, since it was quite a while ago. And again, you can see here, watch how these dragons just absolutely push through like that bottom lane Necromancer stack, just melting it with that dragon flame attack. Like, the skeletons just never even reach the dragon, basically. So that is the huge advantage of including a dragon when you're expecting to fight Necromancers, or with your own Necromancer. Now, my positioning here in this match did not look good at all. I do like Boneyard and double mana a lot of the time, just because you often have enough cards since you're drawing so many so quickly that you don't really end up in situations where you don't have any. So, you know, it kind of benefits the Boneyard. But the thing is, if they're at your castle, Boneyard isn't really that useful, or it's not as useful as it might be. So sometimes I just want to be able to push them off of my castle, and Boneyard is definitely not the card to do that. But luckily, with Dragon in this deck, I can reset the positioning. And now you shall see Dragon with Necromancer. In the bottom lane, I have it set up there. And oh, they got rid of the Necromancer. That is too bad, but I did apply a bit of pressure down there. I'm probably going to have to play the dragon again. Luckily, I have a bunch of dragons to work with. They do work great against opposing Necromancer stacks. They have a dragon too, actually, but I'm using Giant Growth, so this should be pretty interesting. And the other interesting thing is that, I guess Boneyard, like... Okay, so here I've got the Necromancer set up. My Boneyards, though, are actually doing damage to their castle, like little bits and pieces of their castle. But see how this dragon has just really pushed them back. Like, they were up at my castle, and then they got pushed back like crazy. And now I'm working on establishing a couple more Necromancer stacks. Oh, that time I didn't really pair it with the Necromancer, but I did get that dragon out there. Would have been good to get another Necromancer. Yes, there it is again in the bottom lane to bring that big dragon back, because I'm going to probably need it. And those skeletons can provide some coverage against those archer queens, since they can only shoot one at a time. The dragon, just very, very powerful attacks with the Necromancer. Each hit it does can do a lot of damage, and especially to a group of troops. Very good at pushing a lane back. Even this dragon with that low bit of health, you're going to see it really was pushing them back in that bottom lane for a while. And again, I get the Necromancer back on there, and I use another Giant Growth, and it's like, look how much damage that thing is doing. Just completely pushing them back, even though it only gets in a few hits. Like, they have a great stack in the bottom lane, but, like, mine is just... they have a much higher variety of troops in the bottom lane, too. You guys could see that. But my one Giant Spectre and Giant Dragon, in particular, were just completely, like, manhandling that bottom lane. And I really like using Giant Growth with this deck, too, because, again, it's just another card to kind of flip around the advantages with, as well as Inferno. I liked Blizzard for that. Blizzard can do a similar type of thing, but Inferno can also be quite good for kind of shifting momentum and double mana speed, because you need some cards that do area damage in order to shift momentum. And, again, Dragon is one of those cards, and there are spells that can do it quite well, too. So... here, unfortunately, I got frozen there, but that's another thing the dragon is good for, is being at least sort of a counter to the ice elemental. It can get frozen by the ice elemental, but it can also defeat the ice elemental, kind of just depends on how they engage each other and at what distance, so, and at what health values, so it's important to play those strategically. And again, the dragon just being great support behind the Spectre, pushing through with a really nice lane here. Will we win, though? It's a tight match. I'm delaying them in the top lane, which is clutch, but they're delaying me, so I'm like, I've got multiple resurrections. Oh boy. I end up deciding to use the dragon. An interesting decision, because it threw my troops back and theirs back, and I think maybe I had a damage advantage there if I'd gone to the castle. But I was able to get a dragon down in the top lane, and I can get a dragon in the middle lane as well. I think I'm starting to take over this match now. I've got the cards to shut them down, and yep. Ended up being able to finish that one off, which I was really happy with. So let's jump to another situation. Again, setting up a nice Necromancer stack. And in that case, I did have the move against the dragon there. The Spectre one-on-one against the dragon with nothing else in the way. That can definitely go in favor of the Spectre sometimes. But usually the dragon's AoE hit is more sort of like all around generally useful. Especially a giant dragon. I have a big advantage here, but they do have a couple of dragons in the middle lane, and Blizzard, again, being a game-changing card for them to make a legitimate push in that lane. And that lane is... They've still got control in the middle lane, I would say. Or do they? I guess they don't, because I got some new Spectre in there. And now I've pretty much got this game over. Look at all these Spectre I have. Wow, look at all those Spectre. That's a huge number of giant Spectre right there. And we've just taken over this match, completely about to dominate this opponent. They are just completely done. Castle completely done. Wow, what a win right there with so many giant Spectre. This deck, definitely having a lot of fun with it just because there's so many different variations you can do with a bunch of different cards in the game. Necromancer decks and double mana are really, really, really crazy. And you can definitely have a lot of fun with these. My opponent kind of running the... I don't know if it's like a counter meta, but they have the, you know, they have the Ice Elemental. Actually, it's kind of more just a weird deck. It's like... I wonder if there's Standard Bearer with this, because it's a pretty strange combination they're coming out with here. They do have Dark Angel and Dragon, though, but it was kind of weird they had Reaper. Oh, yeah, they do Standard Bearer. I was like... Because Reaper usually... That's a card you're going to need some help to get super close to the castle. And there it was. Oh my goodness, this is going to be... Oh, and then they... Wow, they Standard Bearer it right into my stack. And now we have a battle between these stacks here. But I need to be careful because I know they have that Standard Bearer. And I should use Inferno. Inferno. I think I was just trying to let it battle out a little bit because this was crazy. Oh, no. Oh, guys. Oh. Giant Spectre. No. Oh, my goodness. Wow, they caught me way off guard there. Wow. I would know. I was like, I had to be careful because they had that Spectre, and they could just swap lanes. It was crazy, though, because I had a giant Spectre at the end, but it wasn't nearly enough. You know, you really need a dragon in that situation to get that AoE damage down. Especially when there's skeletons in the stack they're pushing with, you have to really have a dragon or something, Ice Elemental, something to get rid of them with. But the dragon's better than the Ice Elemental because I can sort of hit them before they reach the dragon. Now, my opponent here definitely seems to have the advantage, but I was just continuing to fight, and trying to get some momentum back, especially in that middle lane. I really need to delay that Spectre. Shouldn't be too hard to do with skeletons. And pretty wild situation. But I am gaining control back in this match, which is pretty crazy. Wow, look at all these skeletons I have on my bottom lane. That's quite a few down there. Plus 87. And then giant growth on top of that. So it's probably like plus 90 or 100 or something. And, whoa, now the game is starting to lag out. Beyond like around 100 skeletons for me on my 2014 iPad, it starts to lag out. So that's why I haven't tried to top my plus 208, I think, record. I haven't tried to top it because my iPad will simply crash. So, anyways, I guess it's going to do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this epic Necromancer Dragon combo deck here with the Spectre and Giant Growth and Resurrection. I thought it was pretty fun, so leave a like if you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments and what other types of content I should create. Maybe subscribe if you're new to my channel for more mobile gaming videos. And thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more videos.